Crossband repeater. A couple of ways to achieve it.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Subject I've not really covered before is crossband repeat. Now we all know what a repeater is if we've got an amateur radio license. There might be some that might not know, that haven't got an amateur radio license yet. Basically, a repeater is a station that receives on one frequency and then transmits on another. Normally you get the in-band type, which are usually quite close together in frequency and requires a lot of filtering to make sure that the input and output sides of the repeater don't interfere with each other. That's just the basic way of putting that. There's the other type as well here, which is a crossband repeater. I have to turn on another radio for this. So I can actually demonstrate this by using a couple of radios actually. So we can use my Yaesu FTM-400, which actually has the function built in. I think a lot of the Yaesus do, if not all of the mobile Yaesu radios do. I think there's Icoms and Kenwoods will have that built in as well. I'm pretty certain that Kenwoods do because they use Kenwood radios up on the International Space Station for the crossband repeater there. So on the 400, which is the only Yaesu mobile I'm actually familiar with, the FTM-400, you've got to press these three buttons here, that one, that one, that one, at the same time, and then turn the power on. Now I'm going to have to put the camera down to do this. I'll pause while I put the camera down. Okay, now I've done that, so I've now got both my hands available. I'll show you what we need to do. I'll just move this Motorola PMR446 out of the way. We will be needing that later. So I'm going to hold the control panel because it's not well balanced. So it's these three together. So the GM button, FMW, disp setup at the same time, and power on the radio. And the radio is now in the crossband repeat mode. What you need to do before you do that is set your frequencies, your CTCSS, and anything else you need to set, which would also include the power level, because you can't set the power level as it stands now, because none of the functions on the bottom are now available. They're all greyed out. And while it's in crossband repeater mode, it will say X repeater. Now, crossband repeat is, I believe it's used in some instances for RayNet operations, but don't quote me on that. It's just a temporary quick setup to cover a larger area with like people with handhelds on frequencies that can't make it over the hill. So one will be on one frequency and the other, as you can see there. So what we're going to do, I've got a Baofeng BF888, which should be on 433450. My SDR in the other room is receiving on 145450. So I am going to identify, because it is on the amateur bands. The battery voltage is 11.8 because I'm just running off a battery at the moment. And that battery is running a little bit low, which is a little bit annoying, but what can you do? Just making the best of the situation I've got. I could have brought the power supply in from the other room, but I didn't do that. So if I was to transmit now, Mike 0 Whiskey November Uniform, testing crossband repeat function on the Yaesu FTM-400XDE. I'm transmitting from a Baofeng BF888 on 433.450 megahertz. The Yaesu is transmitting on 145.450. Mike 0 Whiskey November Uniform. My iGate might have desensed the transmission there, but you get the gist of it. There is a dummy load on that radio, so don't panic. It does that as well on occasion, but I think that's my iGate interfering with it. which I think I might have to have a look at the filtering on that if it's doing that. Anyway, let's try in the opposite direction. I set this up to 4 433-450. And I grab another radio. I will grab my FT2D for this. And then we'll be now transmitting on 145-450 into the crossband repeater, which will then retransmit that on 433-450. So let's go again. Mike 0 Whiskey November uniform testing crossband repeat function of the Yaesu FTM-400XDE. I'm transmitting on a Yaesu FT2D on 145.450. The FTM-400XDE is transmitting on 433.450. So this is a test of the crossband repeat. Mike 0 Whiskey November uniform. Now, quite simple, really. So what you would do, stick that on top of a hill. You can park your car on top of a hill, or you can put something on top of a hill. You'd need some adequate cooling if it's going to get a lot of duty cycle. And obviously, because you don't want the radio boiling to death. That would not be good. That was running on 5 watts, but it was into a dummy load, so it's not going to radiate anywhere. I had to identify the handhelds, just in case. So it's quite simple. If you've got a Yaesu mobile rig or a Kenwood or an Icom mobile rig, they may well have the crossband repeat function built into them. The Kenwood ones, I'm pretty certain do, because like I say, they use them on the International Space Station. The Yaesu ones, I'm pretty sure all their mobiles have the crossband repeat function in them as well. Icom, I really can't vouch for that because I've never bought an Icom radio. Some of the Chinese mobiles, I believe, have it as well these days. Although, again, I can't attest to that because I don't actually have any of the current model Chinese mobiles, like the Anytones. But there is another way, and I will demonstrate that now.
Mike 0 Whiskey November uniform testing crossband repeat function on the Yaesu FTM-400XDE. Transmitting from a Baofeng BF888 on 433.450 megahertz. The Yaesu is transmitting on 145.450. Mike 0 Mike 0 Whiskey November uniform testing crossband repeat function of the Yaesu FTM-400XDE. I'm transmitting on a Yaesu FT2D on 145.450. The FTM-400XDE is transmitting on 433.450. So this is a test of the crossband repeat. Mike 0 Whiskey November uniform.
Okay, so here is the other way. Well, I wouldn't personally recommend this, but you probably get where I'm going with this. So this is a slightly cheaper way of doing it. So this thing is called an RC108. This one was branded Unitone, interestingly enough. It had a black label stuck over the top of the case. Now I've took the case lid off so you can actually see what's inside it. And blocking the LEDs there was the sticker on top of the case. There actually are holes in the case for those LEDs to poke through. One's for one side, one's for the other. So what I have done is I've connected that Quansheng there, it's out of focus, to one side of that controller, and to the other side, this Baofeng that I was using a little bit earlier on. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do the same thing again, except using this arrangement. Now, I put some ferrite beads on this because before I found RF was getting into there and causing all sorts of havoc when I was testing yesterday. So let us see what happens. So, let's see. Mike 0 Whiskey November uniform testing crossband repeat using the Unitone RC108 box connected between a Quansheng handheld and a Baofeng BF888 handheld. The Baofeng BF888 is the output transmitter on 433.450. The Quansheng is receiving on 145.450, and I'm currently transmitting on a Yaesu FT2D. Mike 0 Whiskey November uniform. And if you saw the SDR waterfall there, just in the corner of the screen, you would have saw that would have actually worked. I'm not sure if you also saw the green light on top of the Quan Sheng or not, because I've got the fill light on at the moment just to try and compensate for the fact that down there is actually quite dark. So if I just transmit again, yeah, you would have seen the light come on there. And if we go over to the controller, Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform test. You can see on the receiving side, that green light was flickering. So let's try something else. So if I go to 433450, I'm going to use the same radio, and I'm going to change this back to 145450. Like so. And let's try that again. Right. So I've swapped the radios over now for transmit and receive. Let's see what happens. It's going to depend on what the Vox is like on that radio, and also possibly I might have to turn the volume up on the receiver radio just in case. So let's see. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform, testing the crossband repeat box, the RC108. I've got a Quan Sheng and a Baofeng connected to it. The Quan Sheng is now acting as the transmitting radio, and the Baofeng is the receiving radio. I'm transmitting into it from a Yaesu FTM-400XDE 123455431. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform. And that should have done it. And again, there is an LED on there. I'm going to have to turn the fill light off for this because that's a white LED. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform testing. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform testing.
Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform testing crossband repeat using the Unitone RC108 box connected between a Quan Sheng handheld and a Baofeng BF888 handheld. The Baofeng BF888 is the output transmitter on 433450. The Quan Sheng is receiving on 145450, and I'm currently transmitting on a Yaesu FTM-400XDE. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform testing the crossband repeat box, the 08. I've got a Quan Sheng and a Baofeng connected to it. The Quan Sheng is now acting as the transmitting radio, and the Baofeng is the receiving radio. I'm transmitting into it from a Yaesu FTM-400XDE 123455431. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform.
Yeah. So that's another way you could do it. So after the sponsor messages, we're going to find out if it will work for something that, well, technically we shouldn't be doing. But I'm inside and all dummy loads and everything, so there we go. So we'll be right back after these sponsor messages for the bit we shouldn't be doing, technically. But people are probably going to do it anyway. So back after this break. Okay, so welcome back after our small break. So what we've got here is the Thunderpole T3000, a CB radio that has a K-type connector on it. Now what I've got to do before I do anything here is I've got to turn on Vox, and I've also got to lock the keypad because turns out it makes it do weird things, and that's not so great. So we best do that. So the Vox is now turned on. The keypad is locked. Connected to the other end is a Baofeng BF888. So here's what we're going to do. I've got a Motorola PMR446. Legal, legit, above board PMR446. That Baofeng is certainly not. But people still use them anyway. I'm not going to stop people or tell them they shouldn't do it. That's up to people. And also, I'm not going to tell people they shouldn't do this either. Again, that's at your own risk. if Ofcom come and knock on the door, which 9 times out of 10 they probably won't, unless you're causing some serious interference and they know they can get some money from it. So what we're going to do is transmit on the PMR446, on PMR446 channel 3 to the CB, which is on channel 20 UK. Which actually is kind of convenient considering the CB behind me is a 40-channel CB radio. It's actually the Midland 3001. Also salvaged from the car. So here we go. Let's try this out. And there, down here it is somewhere is that box. Okay, testing 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. Testing 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. This is a test of PMR 446 channel 3 to CB channel 20 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1 using the RC108 crossband repeat control box. It holds it a little bit and that's gone off. So we know that's working. I haven't got the fill light on for this, but I can put it on. It won't take me 2 seconds. And there's the control box. I haven't put the lid back on that because I seem to have misplaced the lid. I did have it, but I have actually misplaced it, but that's fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to swap it over. So what I found that my CB handhelds are a wee bit quiet, a bit low on the deviation. Okay, so that's not ideal. So I'm just going to set that up now so we're recording on the correct frequency. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to grab the microphone from behind me. I'll have to check that the volume on that Motorola PMR446 isn't too loud, because otherwise we'll have feedback. It's actually on 0, don't want that. Here we go. So I've got the microphone for the Midland in my hand. The proper one that came with it, complete with the bodge job holder on it. So let's see what happens. Okay, this is a test of... Oh, it's actually not holding. That's somewhat annoying. Okay. That's actually not holding for long enough, so I might have to turn up the volume on there. Let's try that again. Okay, so that's another test of a crossband repeat from the RC108 control box between PMR446 channel 3 and CB UK CB channel 20. The transmitter is a Baofeng BF888, which looks like it might actually be slightly off frequency, so that might need some attention. And the receiver is a Thunderpole T3000 CB. I'm transmitting into a dummy load from a Midland 3001 as serviced by UK FM CB radio servicing. A bit of a plug for them there. Although I don't think he'd approve of me doing this. Absolutely not. Okay, that's the test over. Hang on, I need to just drop the carrier because I was quiet for too long.
Testing 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. Testing 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. This is a test of PMR 446 channel 3 to CB channel 20 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1 using the RC108 crossband repeat control box. So it's another test of a crossband repeat from the RC108 control box between PMR446 channel 3 and CB UK CB channel 20. The transmitter is a Baofeng BF888, which looks like it might actually be slightly off frequency, so that might need some attention. And the receiver is a Thunderpole T3000 CB. I'm transmitting into a dummy load from a Midland 3001 as serviced by UK FM CB radio servicing. A bit of a plug for them there. Although I don't think he'd approve of me doing this. Okay, that's the test over. Hang on, I need to just drop the carrier because I was quiet for too long.
There we go. So yeah, we can do naughty things with this box as well, we shall say. So those are only about, what, I think they're about £11, £12 at the time of writing from the usual Chinese suppliers. I've seen them on Amazon as well. I think they're a little bit more expensive on there. Ferrite beads are going to be needed regardless of what you do. I'm just going to turn that off now because we don't need it, and I'll turn the other one off as well because we don't need it. But my recommendation, if you really want to do crossband repeat, if you've got an amateur radio license, use one of the mobile rigs like this. And that'll switch on in crossband repeat mode. There we go. So that would be my advice. Use one of these. This is the Yaesu FTM-400, which I've had since 2016. One of my many purchases from Martin Lynch and Sons. And certainly one of my favourite mobile rigs because, well, now I know it can do something else. It can actually work as a crossband repeater. Useful for those situations. Like I said earlier, I believe Raynet use crossband repeaters, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think they probably do, because it would make sense because obviously of what Raynet actually does. You can just deploy one in case of an emergency, like you're on top of a hill and you need to communicate with groups. Crossband repeat is good for like search and rescue teams, that sort of thing. Hence the Raynet connection. As for the CB to PMR446 side of things with that RC108 controller box, like I said, the legality of that's a bit of a grey area, and if you get caught by Ofcom doing something like that, then yeah, it's not going to end well. So that's just something you would probably want to think carefully about before doing. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. I'm not here to stop people. I'm just here to show what can be done. Because I've got an amateur radio license, I can easily do a crossband repeat on a temporary basis between 2 meters and 70 sems if I need to deploy such an arrangement. Anyway, if you've liked the content, you can give it a thumbs up. I'm going to just do that, thumbs up. There's another button that works okay as well if you don't like the content. That's fine by me. I mean, if you don't like it, that's fine. If there's anything else you want me to do a video on, now I'm getting back on my feet with the YouTube recording and slowly but surely getting there after the car accident. Yeah, you can suggest something to me and I'll see what I can do. And of course, there's also plenty more videos planned, all being well. I've got a backlog of videos I need to sort out. I've got the footage I took at the National Hamfest that wasn't live streamed, that was recorded on the day but wasn't live streamed, because the live stream's still up, but of course I did get other footage as well. And obviously with the police taking the camera that's on, I, well, wasn't able to do anything with it, as well as my little chat with SDR Play with regards to the networked RSP device, which the name eludes me at the moment. So that's obviously running late as well. And then there's other things that I did want to do, but without a car, I can't actually do them anymore. I do believe there should be some 145 Alive activity coming up as well, which I'll have to do from home. But don't quote me on that yet. I'd have to check the Facebook group with regards to the 145 Alive thing. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. 7-3 for now, and thanks for watching, and thanks for your patience for me having to deal with this horrible situation with the car. Right, time for me to get this edited and have a cup of tea or coffee. I think I'll have coffee, actually, because I'm half asleep. 7-3 for now.